Welcome to the 3rd Gen Workshop, everyone. If you like our videos, please take a minute and hit that subscribe button. In today's video in the 1982 to 1992 Chevy Camaro series, we are installing adjustable rear control arms from Founders Performance. The tubular control arms are much stronger than the factory stamped steel and helps eliminate body roll, axle wrap, and improve traction.
Today we're going to be working on a 1986 Chevy Camaro IROC Z. In today's video we're going to be installing new rear lower control arms from Founders Performance. The rear lower control arms that we're installing today are from Founders Performance. Typically I run UMI or Detroit Speed, but several people have told me what a good value the control arms from Founders are, price and quality. So we went and purchased a pair for the project that we're working on. Now these are adjustable control arms. You can see the nuts on the ends. So if you're running different rear ends or a Watts link or any kind of combination of suspension where you're going to need to change the length of your control arms, these will let you do it. Now the particular car that we're working on, everything is stock ride height, stock suspension, stock differential. We are going to lower this car eventually, but nothing that would need me to change the length of the control arm. So when we get the old control arms off, we'll measure them and we'll lock these in place for the same length. With that, let's get the car up on the lift. When doing your rear control arms, it's very important that whether you're using a lift like I am or whether you're on jack stands, that your car is on the subframe, not on the differential. When you remove the old control arms, you do one side at a time, and because of the springs and the shocks and the sway bar and everything else, your differential is going to move forward just a little bit. This is also one of the reasons you only do one side at a time. It's much easier to fight to get the bolt back in on one, start it on one, and then you can leverage and push the differential back to get the other bolt in. I recommend taking the tires off. When you're using a lift like this, you're also going to want to put one of these lift support stands in place on the cross member. This just helps it from leaning forward at all. To get to these back bolts, I recommend dropping the sway bar. We're going to take this off anyway because we're going to replace it with a brand new UMI one. But the sway bar mounts, the bushings here, are in the way of getting your impact gun up here. And you will need an impact gun, especially if these have never come off. These are going to be very rusty. So I'm not so much worried about these original bolts because I bought a bolt replacement kit from UMI for this install. So we're going to disassemble the rear sway bar first. These nuts, they're 13 millimeter. The end links are 14 millimeter. You'll want to leave your sway bar bushings with the nut still on the U-joint or on the U-bolt until you get the end links completely disassembled. Otherwise, this thing will fall on you. So go ahead and remove both end links. If you're reusing your hardware, you'll need both caps, both bushings, your center rod, and then the bushings and caps on both ends and your nut. So take this, set it aside. If you're replacing your sway bar like I am, your new kit should come with new bushings, a new end link kit. What's funny is on this car, these look fairly new and the rest of this thing looks pretty old. At some point these broke and they were replaced. Now we're going to unthread the bolts from the U-bolts. We'll hold up the sway bar. We'll set the sway bar out of our way. We also want to take off the U-bolts and the carrier. Now we have unobstructed access to the bolts for the control arms. Now these bolts are 18 millimeter. Hopefully these will come right off with this impact gun. Sometimes you might have to put a little bit of MAP gas and heat these up, because if they've been on here for 30 plus years, you know, they could be seized. One word of caution: if you do use any kind of heat back here, you might want to have a fire extinguisher handy, because these rubber bushings can catch on fire. So try to get it off with a air chisel and an impact gun first, but if all else fails, you can apply a little bit of heat to this thing. Surprisingly, that one started pretty well. Let's go ahead and start getting the front one loose, and then we'll work on taking these bolts out. The bolts are off. Now we're going to get a hammer and punch them through. Like I mentioned in the open, we're going to run stock length on our control arms. So what we'll do is we're going to measure from the center of this one to the center of the other hole. We have 19.5 inches. So we're going to start by getting these aligned at 19.5. And then to verify that we are actually at the correct length, we'll take one of our control bolts and run it through to make sure everything goes in perfect. Perfectly straight. That will just help give us a sanity check that we have the right distances. So on these ones from Founders, we're at 19th. So I need to come out a 1/4 inch on each side. The bolts are 1 1/16, not the bolts, the nuts, to loosen them up and to tighten them down. So we'll take off these ends. And we want to, pretty much do equal distance on both sides. Now we're going to put these bearings back in, and we're going to take our first measurement here. Not quite, close. Okay, it looks like we're at 19.5. So like I said, we're going to take these bolts. We're going to run them through the original factory control arm. And as a sanity check, make sure that these things align perfectly. And looks like we're a little off. All right. All right, there we go. lock these down. So the front side is 1 1/16. The rear is 1 1/8. We have them snug. We'll finish tightening them down once we put them on. Again, the 1 1/16 is the front. We're going to start by putting in the bolt for the front. Once you get that initial bolt through, put your washer and your lock nut on the other side, and we'll just get them started. And here's what I was talking about. You see, the differential moved just a little bit. So we're going to have to slide it back. I'm going to use a clamp spreader to push this differential back where I need it to be. Okay, I didn't need much with my clamp spreader. I got my bolt holes lined up, and we're going to go ahead and get this thing started on the inside, just like it came off. Okay, we're going to go prep the other one the same way we prepped this one, so that way when we take off the other side, we're ready to go. I will tell you, these DeWalt impact guns, so much better than air guns. Just removes this crap right out. When I did the control arms on that black 92, I had to use heat, all kinds of stuff, because I just had an old standard air gun. That DeWalt is a life changer. Okay, front bolt started. Let's see if we need to use the clamp, the spreader on this side as well. Look at that, that one lines pretty much right on. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lock down the lock nuts on the control arms. The back nut here is 1 1/8. And the front one is 1 1/16. Okay, the replacement bolt kit from UMI, instead of being 18mm, they're 3/4. So we're going to go ahead and get them snug, and then we'll break out the torque wrench for 85 foot-pounds. Okay, 85 foot-pounds. Or 86 foot-pounds actually. Control arms are in, bolted to 86 foot-pounds. The nuts on the ends are locked, and they are set to 19.5 inches from bolt center to bolt center, just like the factory control arms. This will give us a lot better control and ride. If we were stopping there in this car, we would reinstall the sway arm. But since we are replacing the sway arm, that'll be covered in another video. If you are only doing the control arms, just follow the install process, the reinstall process, your sway arm, reverse the takeoff, put your U-bolt in, start them threaded, put your control arm links back in over here, tighten them down, reference your Haynes manual, your Chitten's manual, or your GM factory manual for the specs on the torque settings, and then you're good to go. In my case, like I said, we're leaving this off because we're going to install a new sway bar on the rear end, and we're also going to do the panhard bar and the upper panhard bar with the relocation.
Thank you for watching the Third Gen Workshop. If you like this video, please take a minute and hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for future videos in the 1982 to 1992 Chevy Camaro series. Lots of other things that are coming. Sway bars, wonder bars, steering, panhard bars, and much more. Thank you for watching.